Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion is a comedic Legend of Zelda inspired adventure game where you play as Turnip Boy, who committed the biggest money life-saving felony of not paying his taxes. He is now in debt to Mayor Onion, who has taken his greenhouse and has given him tasks to complete until he has paid off his debt. Turnip Boy plays similar to your adventure game Affair, slaying a handful of enemies with a sword, solving puzzles, dwelling into dungeons, acquiring new items, defeating bosses, exploring new areas, completing side quests, and talking with the locals. It's all here. Combat here is very simple. Turnip Boy has a sword that he can use to defeat enemies. With some exceptions, enemies typically don't pose much of a threat to the player, though the lack of invincibility frames can lead to a few deaths, and the puzzles in this game aren't that difficult to complete. Turnip Boy also has a watering pail that he can use to water flowers, which can create bombs to be kicked, watermelon blocks to be pushed, or teleporters to zip through. The game has a few very simple dungeons that you will be exploring, each providing a handful of enemies and puzzles. You'll also acquire a new item halfway through, and each dungeon will have a boss battle requiring you to use said item. The boss battles are fun, and much like The Legend of Zelda, you're given an additional heart after defeating a boss, which is pretty nifty. There are also a handful of side quests. These are really just fetch quests of bringing a character a key item that they want, which they'll either reward you with a hat, a different item, or some paper for you to tear up. Which brings me to my next point. The humor is silly and nonsensical, and honestly Turnip Boy's strongest aspect. I love how Turnip Boy doesn't talk, but emotes with just 3 question marks or exclamation points. It just makes him so expressive without saying a thing. And I love that he's out here just committing crimes with his cute face. He's really giving off that Kirby with a knife energy. The dialogue from the characters is also silly and absurd. There's a handful of references and jokes scattered throughout this gem that had me cracking up. Even subtle things like item descriptions are great. In the game, you'll come across multiple documents, whether it's a receipt, Turnip Boy's tax bill, or a love letter that he's supposed to deliver. If it's made of paper, he's gonna rip it up. There's more in the late game that adds another layer of lore and absurdity to Turnip Boy, but I won't be spoiling it here. I really adore the presentation. The bold and cute art style for the character portraits, cutscenes, and UI is so colorful, pleasing, and fun. The pixel art is fantastic, and while the animations are pretty simple, they get the job done. And the music here is really catchy and bouncy. Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion isn't a super long experience, clocking in at about 2 to 3 hours. The game was first released on Steam and Nintendo Switch on April 22nd, 2021, and was also available on Xbox One, iOS, Android, and on PS4. Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion was developed by Snoozy Kazoo, who would make a sequel, Turnip Boy Robs a Bank, in 2024. The game retails for $14.99, and if you're looking for a short, cute, and silly Zelda-like, I highly recommend checking this out. This has been your fellow Fox on the internet. Like, comment, subscribe for more recommendations and reviews. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.